Doctor Who may be the question that must never be answered, but that's no excuse for leaving so many unanswered questions all over the place for the past 60 years. We're never going to find out who the Minister of War is, nor are we going to learn that the Doctor's name is Bob. Some questions do have answers though, you just need to know where to look. I'm James for Who Culture, and these are 10 Doctor Who mysteries you didn't know were answered. Number 10. Who was the woman in Abu Dhabi? There are a couple lines in the Star Beast that feel like they might be setting up something for the future, such as the curse of online discourse. For example, was Donna's assertion that you should never trust a man with a goatee a hint that the Master was around, or was it just some solid life advice? Also, Donna's extended riff on the grown woman from Abu Dhabi who is obsessed with gonks never went anywhere in the Star Beast, or the remainder of the 60th anniversary specials. It's been theorised that she might have been one of Sutek's Susan Triad minions, but this was never explicitly stated. So who was this mysterious woman? And why was she so obsessed with gonks? Well, Gary Russell's novelisation of the Star Beast reveals the woman's identity as Layla Krishnam. It's revealed that Layla's father is very impressed by Rose's work, and that her gonks make Layla the envy of all her friends. So quite why Rose has to slum it doing admin work for UNIT on weekends, rather than establishing thriving business links with Abu Dhabi to sell her toys, is anyone's guess. Number 9. Who was Gus? Representing a shady organisation that wanted to capture the Foretold, the mysterious computer Gus had been trying to ensnare the Doctor since his 11th incarnation, so it seemed incredibly odd that by the end of Series 8's Mummy on the Orient Express, the 12th Doctor never tried to learn more about Gus and what he actually was. None of Jamie Matheson's subsequent scripts brought Gus back either, leaving it as one of the biggest loose ends of the modern era. But that doesn't mean no answers exist. In a blog on his website, Matheson detailed his original plans to incorporate Gus in Series 10's Oxygen, which were abandoned when it felt that it lacked impact as an ending. In the original version, the sign that Bill sees read Ganymede Systems, putting the U in user. That would have given us Ganymede User Systems, or GUS for short. Then, at the episode's climax, the Doctor contacted Ganymede's head office and defeated a nefarious executive called Klein, who would have had the exact same voice as Gus. It's a little convoluted, and it's no surprise it was dropped, but it works perfectly well as headcanon. Number 8. When did Ace leave the 7th Doctor? Because Doctor Who went off the air in 1989 and never returned until 1966, Ace's departure was never depicted on screen. The original intention was reportedly to leave Ace on Gallifrey, where she would train to be a Time Lord. However, there are other tellings of the day the Doctor and Ace parted company in the expanded universe. The 2020 novel At Childhood's End recounts the 7th Doctor and Ace's last day together, in parallel with her first meeting with the 13th Doctor. While the canonicity of that novel is now thrown out of whack by the power of the Doctor, you can still sort of make it fit if you squint hard enough. However, it's Tales of the TARDIS that gives us the most definitive date for the Doctor and Ace parting company in televised Doctor Who. Discussing their last day together in the Memory TARDIS, the Doctor states that the Rani was up to her old tricks. Given that the only time Seven and Ace faced the Rani together was the 1993 charity special Dimensions in Time, we can definitively call that Ace's final story. And if you've ever seen Dimensions in Time, you can completely understand why Ace would want to get shot of the Doctor soon after. Number 7. Why was there a twist at the end? There were a lot of people who watched Ncuti Gatwa's first Doctor Who season that wondered why the show kept breaking the fourth wall, but for some, even weirder was the moment everyone suddenly broke into song at the end of The Devil's Chord, for seemingly no reason whatsoever. Unlike other moments in RTD2 though, Ruby's mum, the big song and dance number felt like a natural conclusion to what went before, considering that music was at the heart of the episode and was shown to possess great power. The actual scripted reason for There's Always a Twist at the End was revealed by Russell T Davies in the pages of SFX magazine, who explained that the Doctor was originally going to say, "Time's gonna go crazy now, music is flooding back in, and everything's gonna go crazy for 10 minutes. It's odd that such an incredibly quick moment was cut, as is RTD's justification that offering an explanation was boring. Hopefully he doesn't take the same approach with Mrs. Flood. Number 6. How can the Doctor remember Heaven Sent? In Heaven Sent, the Doctor spends 4.5 billion years inside the confession dial. Each time he dies, he powers up a machine that beams in a brand new Doctor. So surely, the final Doctor that breaks through the wall cannot possibly remember every moment of those 4.5 billion years. So why does he say that he can remember it all at the end of each loop? Massive Time Lord brain or not, that's a lot of memories to keep in one head. Stephen Moffat discussed this in Doctor Who magazine number 495 in answer to a fan's question. Moffat's belief is that the Doctor essentially creates those memories for himself. When he understands understands that he must break through the wall, and when he notices all those skulls in the water, he realises that he's been doing this for a very long time, and the weight of all those centuries becomes his memory. He doesn't necessarily remember every single detail, but each version of the Doctor realises that they've been there for thousands, millions, billions of years each time they get to the Diamond Wall. As an extra flourish, Moffat also suggests that the Doctor remembers because the confession dial won't let him forget, saying that, in a world designed to suck your bad dreams from your mind and feed them back to you, isn't it possible that his worst day, the one he's living right now, again and again, is hanging in the air around him? Oh, Moffat, you clever sod. Number 5. Who was on the laptop? After the power of the Doctor went out, there was much speculation about an empty chair at the companion support group. Was it a tribute to the much-missed Elizabeth Sladen? Had Annika Wills been unable to attend filming? A cursory glance at the script for the episode reveals the truth, because everyone who appears on screen is named in Chris Chibnall's stage directions for the scene. The script also reveals that a laptop is supposed to be set up on the empty chair, which would have been connected to other companions zooming in. The companions that Chibnall wanted to appear on Zoom were Martha, or Ryan, or Jackie Tyler. The laptop isn't visible in the final scene, but his choice of characters is interesting. For one thing, it's strange that Ryan didn't appear on the laptop. Tosin Cole wouldn't have even needed to film new material, as they could have reused the vlog clips from The Woman Who Fell to Earth. As for Martha, we seem doomed never to get an update on Dr. Jones, and quite how Jackie Tyler was zooming in from Pete's world is a whole other Doctor Who mystery to be solved. Maybe she's more powerful than we thought. Number 4. Who put that sofa there? Sylvester McCoy is an actor who has never knowingly turned down the opportunity for a comedy pratfall. Case in point, Survival Part 3, the final episode of classic Doctor Who, in which the Doctor hops on a motorbike for a life-or-death game of chicken with Midge. Midge is burned and mangled in the collision, while the 7th Doctor ends up headfirst in some sofa cushions. It's the sort of all-too-convenient resolution that makes Doctor Who fans either roll their eyes with disgust or hoot with laughter. But seriously, how on earth did the 7th Doctor dismount an exploding motorbike and end up with his head between the sofa cushions without a single scratch? Step forward Paul Cornell, whose 30th anniversary Emperor of the Daleks explained that 7th Doctor had a bit of help. At the end of the story, the 6th Doctor asks if his future self appreciated the mattress in Perivale. Now, yes, it wasn't a mattress, it was a sofa, which means Paul Cornell either forgot this, or, more excitingly, the 7th Doctor leapt from an exploding motorbike, bounced off a mattress, and landed headfirst on an old sofa. If they aired that in 1989, Doctor Who's future would have been assured all the way through the 90s. Number 3. How did Captain Jack become the face of Bo? Though some fans still don't believe it, Captain Jack Harkness is indeed the face of Bo. Aside from being more or less explicitly confirmed in the Series 3 finale, Russell T Davies also reiterated his intent during a lockdown tweet-along of New Earth, referring to the face of Bo as Captain Jack during the scene where the giant pickled head fades away. During another lockdown watch-along, this time for the Series 3 episode Gridlock, RTD was at it again, offering an explanation for how the handsome time agent ultimately ended up looking like the face of Bo. The answer? Time. As RTD put it, after 5 billion years of growth, extraordinary changes must happen. Jack may have been immortal, but he never stopped growing or aging, and after living for such a comically long time, it's understandable that something weird might have happened to him. There's also the theory that Jack was decapitated by the headless monks at some point, and it's his head that grew into the face of Bo. Jack was set to appear in A Good Man Goes to War at one point, so there's no reason both of these explanations can't be true. Number 2. Is the duck pond important? Partway through the 11th hour, the Doctor and Amy are walking through Ledworth's village square, and he points out that the duck pond doesn't have any ducks in it. Amy replies that there's never been any ducks in the pond, but they call it that anyway. Rather than being one of Stephen Moffat's many throwaway gags, the duck pond exchange is framed as something important to be paid off later, which it never was. But that wasn't the original plan. Moffat has answered the question of what was going on with the duck pond at least twice, once in his Doctor Who magazine column, and again in a recent interview with Inverse. His original intent was to reveal that the ducks had been victims of the crack in time, and like Rory and Amy's parents, had been erased from time. The ending of the Big Bang would have seen the TARDIS dematerialise from Ledworth Village Square to reveal the ducks back in the pond. Unfortunately, unpredictable weather meant that they were unable to shoot the scene. As a result, it was relocated to the more controllable environment of Amy's back garden, losing the duck pond resolution altogether. How ridiculous. Number 1. Why does the Doctor hate pears? Never ever eat pears was one of the pearls of wisdom the 12th Doctor imparted to his future incarnation before regenerating. But why did he feel this was so important to pass on? Why doesn't the Doctor like pears? Is it the fact that you can spend so long waiting for them to ripen that you miss the one day they're actually edible? Well, the Doctor's dislike of pears spans multiple incarnations and mediums. In a throwaway line in Hellbent, the 12th Doctor explains why he doesn't like them when he describes them as too squishy, resulting in your chin always being wet. This was a nod to Paul Cornell's novel Human Nature, in which the 7th Doctor insisted that he not be allowed to eat pears while he was living as a human. This detail was retained when Cornell adapted Human Nature for TV in 2007, where the 10th Doctor told Martha via recorded message that he absolutely loathes pears. Annoyingly, this dialogue was cut from the finished version, meaning that the scene where John Smith casually eats a pear while checking on the fob watch lost its comic impact. Also, pears aren't that bad, mate. Come on.
Don't let me eat pears. I hate pears.
And that's everything for this list, but not every question has such a neat solution, so go check out our other list, 10 Doctor Who mysteries that will never be answered. In the meantime, I've been James for Who Culture, and remember, never be cruel, never be cowardly, and never ever eat pears.